It is hard to believe, but the Nintendo Switch will be 7 years old in March 2024, and that can leave a lot of new Switch owners almost overwhelmed on which games may be worth adding into their library, especially when you talk about all of the various different Black Friday sales and discounts that we are seeing Nintendo run this year. And in this video, I want to walk through what I would consider to be some must-own Nintendo Switch games, primarily newer titles that have been released in 2023, in case if you are somebody who's wanting to expand your collection, in addition to highlighting some of the bundle console discounts that Nintendo will be running towards the end of the video in case you are shopping for a console for the first time, and also throwing in some fun bonus titles that are a must staple own in any Nintendo Switch owner's library. So make sure you like, subscribe, and turn on your bell notification if you're new here to join Sunbro Nation. And with that, let's hop into a holiday gift guide that's actually over on Nintendo's website themselves that I think outlines a lot of the quality 2023 titles, and we will start with those. So to my surprise, the North American Nintendo.com does not have anything like this, but the UK one put together a really nice holiday gift guide, and we're going to use this kind of as the basis for our talking points around some must-own 2023 Nintendo Switch games that, whether you're brand new to the console and you're getting one for the first time this year, or you are somebody looking to expand your ever-growing game collection, you should absolutely be paying some attention to these titles. And we'll actually go in a loose order of what's being nominated here for the top picks for Nintendo Switch, because I do agree with many of them, starting out with Super Mario Bros. Wonder. And this is something that, whether you're a gamer from the 80s when Super Mario Bros. All began, or if you're somebody who is brand new to gaming, you will enjoy this just the same. It is the classic 2D Mario formula that you know and love from the original NES era, but totally revamped and brought to the next level with modern visuals and a crazy creative world to traverse through. This was one of those that I would say took me about the 20-hour or so mark to 100%, maybe just a little bit less than that, but there's plenty of content, plenty of levels and challenges. It definitely picks up in the difficulty department more towards the end of the game, but still remains accessible for players of all ages, as they do have certain characters such as the Yoshis and Nabbit characters that do not take damage from enemies as they're traversing through the levels. So if you want it to essentially have an easy mode, you can, and if you're a seasoned gamer that really wants a challenge and see 2D Mario in the best light it's ever been in, I think that this is a new pinnacle for what 2D games can be in the modern era. And while you likely won't see a ton of discounts going around for this game for Black Friday, as Nintendo really tends to stick to their guns on pricing, you can find at retailers like Target and maybe even Best Buy and Amazon, amongst others, this year doing a buy two get one free sale, and that may be the best way to pick this up. Not to mention, Nintendo does have their own voucher program for Nintendo Switch Online members, where you can actually pick up 2 games for $50 each, which is better than paying $60 individually, which is what most of them retail for. Although, perfect segue, a game that you will find that's more expensive than any other Nintendo Switch game, and I would argue for good reason, is next on the list, which is none other than Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. This is the sequel to The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, which was the very first open world Zelda adventure ever. This means outside of the initial tutorial area, you can essentially traverse the game in any order or however you see fit, and that formula works perfect in the Legend of Zelda style of games. Not to mention that they really expanded everything that Link can do in terms of weapon availability, item availability, and crafting. If you have kids that are maybe into Minecraft, this, believe it or not, kind of implemented some of those creative ideas on things you can make from the ground up, because with things like Ultra Hand and Fuse, Link can actually craft entirely new things that you wouldn't expect to be able to put together until you actually go and try and do it. And Nintendo also geniusly designed this game in a way where a lot of the puzzles that you have to get past in a Legend of Zelda game traditionally have had one correct way to do it, and in Tears of the Kingdom you can think outside of the box and probably do things the unintended way and still get through any said shrine or temple that has you stuck. And it's a very fun 60+ hour game at the bare minimum, even if you're not focusing on all of the side mission stuff. Not to mention an incredible story to boot. If you're not a Legend of Zelda fan and you go into this game, I'd be willing to bet that you will complete it as a Legend of Zelda fan and probably pick up every game going forward, and hopefully going through the backlog of other games from there. So it may be that higher $70 price point, but very well worth it in my personal opinion. Now, the next game on the list is actually one that I have not played yet, which is none other than Pikmin 4. But this, from everything I've seen online, is regarded by Pikmin fans as the best in the franchise yet. And it's a fun, cutesy, relaxing style game. You're not going to be stressed out and worried about dying over and over again in a game like this. There's going to be some puzzle solving and some unique creatures and battles that you'll come across, but you're really going to want to sit back and relax and enjoy the environment of this game and the bright and vibrant colors. And it's yet another quality 2023 Nintendo Switch release. Moving right along, we have Pokemon Scarlet and Violet plus the DLC for this game, which both packs will be out as of December 14th, with the Hidden Treasure of Area 0 with part 1 already playable at the time of filming this video, which is known as the Teal Mask, and part 2 known as the Indigo Disc, launching on December 14th. This is a ton of content for any Pokemon fan out there. This is also Pokemon's first big step into an open world adventure game, and while the game is hampered by some performance issues and frame drops, it is still a ton of fun at the end of the day, and there's more Pokemon than ever to catch in a single run through. These DLCs are taking it to yet another level of new areas to explore, and talk about 60 to 100 hours of gameplay easy. You can absolutely get fully immersed in this Pokemon open world adventure. So you will need Scarlet or Violet to play this DLC, but once you have the base game, you can then add on the DLC packs from there. Now, sliding right along, you do have Mario Kart 8 Deluxe Booster Course Pass. This is something that's included in Nintendo Switch Online that we will touch in just a little bit in terms of the value of the expansion pack and whether or not you want to add that in. But you can also purchase this DLC for Mario Kart 8 separately, and that is something that retails at $29.99, although you must own Mario Kart 8 Deluxe to begin with. That is also a bundled game in many of the different ongoing Nintendo Switch OLED and base model bundles that we are seeing Nintendo do this year. It's a staple must-own Nintendo Switch game for a reason, and I would definitely say this is one that anybody that owns a Nintendo Switch needs to play and have in their library at some point in time. Super Mario RPG is the next big Mario game that is coming out right around the corner from the time of filming this video. As of November 17th, this is the remake from a classic SNES era RPG Mario game. It's the first one that ever took Mario into the RPG style of gameplay, and it's regarded by fans as a timeless classic for good reason. The character model work that Nintendo did on this and the overall vibrancy and vibe is absolutely top notch, and it's one that I'm excited to play myself when it does launch later this week. EA Sports FC 24 on the list, one that I'm not really the biggest sports game player myself. I know there's a lot of fans out there, but it's one that I don't have much to say about. Splatoon 3 is definitely something that for multiplayer online fans, you should look into this game. It's definitely a ton of fun. It's Nintendo's take on a third-person online shooter, and there is a individual story mode, but you definitely find most players playing this game long-term online with friends and in lobbies and things. And of course, you have these various different paint guns and paint abilities to cover as much of the map as possible. There's a ton of different game modes to dive into, but it's another really fun one for online gameplay and having fun with your friends on the Nintendo Switch. And note, any game that you're wanting to do online play for, you will at least need the Nintendo Switch Online base level tier, which starts out at $20, which again, we will touch on in just a little bit. We already talked about Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. It's got DLC out. It's 96 tracks. It's better than ever. Pick it up if you don't own it. Absolutely. Animal Crossing New Horizons is one that I put about 20 hours into myself. It's a fun, warm, cozy type of game. Another kick back and relax type of environment. Something that I don't really get into in the long term of gameplay, but it is a lot of fun, and I get why it has such a big following online. You're going to find yourself doing various different daily tasks and growing your village and attracting new villagers to come to your island. You can go to friends' islands. There's a lot going on with this game, and it has a massive install base with over 46 million copies successfully sold, so definitely look into that one as well. Mario Party Superstars, the Mario Party game that I think is the must own on the Nintendo Switch. There's actually two different ones you can get, but Superstars is the one that I would grab. It's a return to form of what you know and love from Super Mario Party. It has a ton of different classic mini games from Mario Parties, from the original N64 all the way through the GameCube and Wii era, and 5 different classic boards. My only one complaint is I wish Nintendo did DLC for this game so we had more boards to play, but if you love Mario Party, you will love this, and it looks better than ever. From there, we have, once again, some repeat offenders we won't mention. Luigi's Mansion 3 is the next new title on the list we haven't talked about. That is a fantastic spooky puzzle game that's a ton of fun. You'll find yourself with some cool encounters with ghosts and various different bosses. It has like that Mario structure that you would expect from any kind of Mario universe game, but its own personality with Luigi. And I definitely think that this is a series that will be a staple for Nintendo going forward. It even has a co-op feature built in via DLC that's a ton of fun to do couch co-op with the friend or loved one. And from there, we have some older titles that you really should own as well. Super Mario Odyssey, we won't spend any time on it. It is $20 off as part of the ongoing Nintendo Switch Black Friday sale, so pick it up if you don't already own it. This is a 2017 game, 3D Mario at its finest, that every Nintendo Switch player should own. Super Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury, which is actually a re-release of Super Mario 3D World from the Wii U era, but Bowser's Fury is brand new content, so even if you've played Super Mario 3D World, it's worth grabbing this double pack, because Bowser's Fury to me feels like a beta test for what 3D Mario might be in the future, which is a much more open zone, open world type of layout where you can see things incredibly far away and actually make it to them. So definitely money well spent on that one. I should mention briefly on Luigi's Mansion 3, just remember that one's also $20 off as part of the ongoing Black Friday sale. And then talk about a steep discount. Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze is currently $30 off, and that is another pinnacle of what is possible in 2D platforming games. This one definitely packs more of a punch in the difficulty department, especially as you traverse through the game. But if you love the classic Donkey Kong Country games, I really feel like this is done about as good as you can in the modern day, and it's a timeless classic for me, one I love to pick up and play, and for just $30 it is absolutely a steal. Now from there, we'll quickly highlight the different Nintendo Switch models. You're probably familiar with them, but if you're buying for somebody else and maybe you haven't really looked into things, it might be worth mentioning for you real quick. So Nintendo Switch Lite, don't get confused with this. You cannot play this console on your TV traditionally like you do with the name Switch. You assume it can go from the dock to the handheld play. If you only want a console that can do handheld play, that's what the Switch Lite is for, and it's $100 less for that lack of functionality. So you can find this thing retailing for $199, and as part of the Black Friday promotion, you can also pick it up with Animal Crossing bundled in with special edition themed consoles for that same $199 price point. The Nintendo Switch is the next step up, which is the original system we've been gaming on, although there was a V2 with a better battery and all that. That's what's being sold now, but for $299, and this is the traditional Nintendo Switch with the dockable functionality intact, and it has a 6.2-inch display that is an LCD panel. And then of course we saw Nintendo revise that handheld side of things and upgrade the Nintendo Switch with an OLED model, which gets a 7-inch OLED display. And for anybody who plays frequently in handheld mode, this is absolutely worth the extra money. It retails at $350. It has various different bundles going on this year, such as Smash Bros, and overseas in the UK, I at least know they're doing Mario Kart as well. I believe we might be getting that here at some point, but at the time of filming, it hasn't been confirmed. And the OLED Red Edition, I think, is even getting a bundle with Mario Bros Wonder in the UK, and that may be coming worldwide as well. So check into all that stuff. But if you're somebody who plays docked, but you also like to play in handheld frequently, the OLED is absolutely a worthwhile upgrade and worth every penny of the $50 price increase, in my personal opinion. Now from there, there's a few different party games highlighted. Definitely add in Super Smash Bros Ultimate to your collection if you don't already have that. It's in one of the bundles for the OLED model here in the US, as mentioned. I believe that's actually worldwide as well, so look into that. Nintendo Switch Sports is a fun party game that you might want to boot up with friends. If you played Nintendo Wii Sports, this is very similar to that game, but using the Joy-Con and the modern controls that are on the Switch, and it honestly is objectively a better game. I just don't think motion-based gaming is quite as impressive as it once was. But from there, a quick honorable mention on a game that wasn't on Nintendo's buying guide for 2023 that I think absolutely has to be there for anybody. Quick mention of Metroid Prime Remastered. This was one of my 2023 Game of the Year titles. I absolutely love it from start to finish. It is a flawless 3D Metroid adventure. We are gearing up for news around Metroid Prime 4 and potentially even 2 and 3 being re-released before then. And for $40 regular retail, this is a steal and something that every Nintendo Switch owner should own, in my personal opinion. It is a space action shooter platformer sci-fi adventure, if that makes sense to you. It's an incredible game. Metroid is known for really unique puzzles, incredible boss battles, and really fun level traversal with constant weapon, item, and upgrades that you always feel like you're progressing your character and becoming that much more capable. So it's one that I had to definitely throw on anybody's 2023 list of new games. And then lastly, I want to briefly touch on Nintendo Switch Online for first-time Nintendo Switch owners or somebody who may look into adding this service into your account for the first time. Nintendo Switch Online Plus expansion pack is the big thing that Nintendo leads with. It is the higher price point of $50 annually. If you're planning on buying it for your family and you have multiple accounts, definitely get the family plan because it lets you have up to 8 Nintendo Switches all tied to that same annual membership, and that retails for $80 for up to 8 different Switches. So if you have even more 2 or more players that you want to buy this pass for, definitely opt for the family plan option. Nintendo Switch Online Plus expansion pack is 2 different services combined into one, but the expansion pack is the access to additional consoles within Nintendo Switch Online. So you get things like online play, save cloud data backup, and then the full array of consoles: the original Nintendo Entertainment System, Super Nintendo, Game Boy, Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advance, Nintendo 64, and Sega Genesis. My one gripe with the service is Nintendo doesn't necessarily stick to a strict release schedule on when they update the library of games that are available, but if you haven't had this service yet, there is so much quality classic Nintendo content to go through that you absolutely should get it for a year and just see what you think about it. For $50 annually, playing all of the classic N64 games and some of the Game Boy Advance games that are being added into the service right now is absolutely incredible, and I would highly recommend it. It adds a ton of value for anybody who likes the old school classic games and wants to have the ability to play them either on the go or docked with a modern resolution on a TV. I definitely recommend this service. Then you have the base tier, which is less money. It's $20 annually instead of $50, and you get all of the functionality minus the Sega Genesis, the N64, and the Game Boy Advance systems. So you will be missing out on some content, but if you're not into that and maybe you're picking up the service more for the ability to play online with friends and save cloud data backup, and then just more of this old retro content that doesn't include GBA, Genesis, and N64, then maybe look into adding that tier of the service in instead. Many of the different bundles we're seeing sold with Nintendo Switch do have this holiday season 3 months of a free trial of the base tier, so you can at least hop into some online matches with your friends and test the waters that way without having to spend any money. But I do think that that is more or less a essential service for most Nintendo Switch owners, especially if you want to be able to play a large collection of the retro games over Nintendo's history. But I want to hear from you guys at this point in the video. Let me know what you're excited about picking up this holiday season 2023 when it comes to Nintendo Switch games. What do you think of the various different deals and discounts? Are there any 2023 games that I missed that you would absolutely add into your recommendations? So regardless of your thoughts and feelings on everything we talked about today, I do look forward to hearing from you all in the comments down below before you leave the video, as I do look forward to getting a back and forth conversation started with you all around these topics. Go watch yesterday's video next if you haven't already, which is on screen right now. Also make sure you like, subscribe, turn on your notification bell, and I will see you guys in the next video.